Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years. Hello, thanks for watching Quilty. I'm Mary Fons.
And I'm Heather Kinion.
We have this cool pattern with us from Modern Patchwork today, the Hexagon Star Quilt. Check out Modern Patchwork for the issue of the magazine where this appeared. We have it on our tablet, which is way cool.
Way cool, way easy to look at your pattern that way and close up if you need to.
Illuminated. Yeah, that's right. Check this out. I want to look at the quilting. Wow, I can. Very cool. So, Heather, you're going to lead us through making this guy. And it's kind of,
So it's hexagons, but it's pieced hexagons, so it's a little bit easier. And actually, the building blocks of this pattern, the pieces that go together, you only need 4 shapes. They are like an end piece for the top of each corner, which you cut out of your background fabric. So we've got that there. Your A triangle, which is the big triangle, which of the background fabric. And then you need a C template, which is your small triangle, which in order to make it sort of a star and so it's set apart, that C triangle then gets a 4th piece, which is the backing fabric again. And it tells you how long to cut these rectangles. And you just match, the first step is you match those up and sew them down.
How do they have you match them up? Just in the center?
Just roughly in the center. They're long enough
you're gonna
that,
trim them.
like here.
Got it.
They're long enough that you will see the edges there. And then
Great. Oh, you still
what you would do, since the C template isn't useful then, you then retrim that the color triangle wedges with
like
your
that.
A template.
And now you did something interesting. I would do it differently. It's not the way you did it. Obviously, it's not wrong. But you just used the paper and you cut.
I just use the paper.
You cut with your ruler and your
I put
rotary
my ruler
against
and
the paper.
I line it up. And actually, on these ones, because assuming I cut my C triangles carefully,
Right.
you don't really need the paper because it's essentially just a continuation of the straight line you already have. So you line your fabric up with the
What
edge.
I would be afraid of, though, yeah, absolutely, you can do it that way. But so if I was just going to use the paper, though, I'd be afraid I would start shaving off little parts of my paper every time I cut. So I'd probably cut it out of template plastic or cardboard. But we've done that on Quilty. You did that the last time you were on the show.
It's really careful. You have to be really careful because you have to make sure that I usually leave as much big black edge line as I can and put this up to the edge.
Right.
And that's how that works out.
Cool.
So I'd trim both sides and end up with one of those.
Looks like a Trivial Pursuit wedge we were talking about.
It does, especially when they go together. And so these are the 3 building blocks that make up the entire quilt. Obviously, these are in a variety of colors. And that's pretty simple and straightforward. Now, where it gets tricky is when you go to line them up together. And Mary will go back to the design wall where we've got this set up.
And, this is a Peaky and Spike unit, isn't it, really? These two together. We did that on another episode of Quilty. Either it's aired or it will. We use the Peaky and Spike template. But anyway, that's another show. So what Heather's showing you here is that you've got these 3. You've got, this is your piece. Which one is this, A, B, or C?
That one is B.
B, A, and
the C that has got the addition, so it's an A shape again.
Right. So to line this up, we always want to join in rows. That's what we want to do. We're not going to make a hexagon and then set in another hexagon. No. You start, and the pattern shows you just how you lay this out, but you make this row, okay, and then you sew this row, and you join them together.
Right.
So here's one of the rows that Heather's joined already, and here's one that's joined already. And you follow your pattern, it's up and down. It changes, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. Well, and sometimes when you join triangles, it can be pretty tricky. But on this one, it's very simple because once you put them together to make the hexagon star, they're exactly the same. You line up the edges perfect, just like you would with a square, and sew along the edge. And that's true on all of them. Which is very easy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, once you have the pieces and parts and you know how to join the rows, this quilt is not difficult.
No.
And you get the awesome hexagon thing, which is still so hot.
It looks really intimidating, but the shapes and the sewing are really simple. Yeah. So you end up with an intimidating looking quilt.
Yes.
But it's nice and easy.
Impress your friends and neighbors.
Right. Yeah. And I have a tip when I'm putting mine on my design wall, so I line them all up right, and then I put them together to go take back to my machine and chain piece. I take pictures of my final layout on my phone, so I can just call it up, or my iPad if I have that there, and call it up and just look at that picture to make sure I put everything back in order, because keeping the correct order straight is by far the hardest part of this quilt.
Totally. And we like to say that a lot can happen between the design wall and your machine.
Yes.
You know, that you turn things around weird, and I mean, it happens all the time, and it'll still happen, but a picture is a brilliant idea.
Yes. And I tend to, because it's a equilateral triangle, what side do I sew on this one? Who knows?
Oh, here's another tip for you. What I do if I'm pinning, I pin with the point toward the seam I want to sew. I actually learned that at Quiltology years ago.
Oh, nice.
From somebody, but that's helpful too. But a picture is fabulous. And I know all you quilters have crazy.
And I just always, I don't necessarily pin exactly that way, but I pin in one specific spot, so I know that's the start sewing corner.
Yeah, great. So that's your Hexagon Star Quilt. Take a look at it, have fun. We always, strive to give you projects that are really interesting, that'll keep your attention, keep your focus. Beginner, you can do this.
Yeah, beginner hexagons right here.
Boom. See you next time. Bye.
Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years.